Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here. Okay, today something that has been long awaited and I haven't grown it yet because I guess I just figured, this video is kind of everywhere, right? So why mimic and duplicate what others are doing? And that's sunflower, right? There are tons of sunflower videos out there. I do mine just a hair bit different though, just because sunflower is very prone to mold, right? So there's a few key things that I do to make sure that I limit that mold as much as possible here. So the scenery here is a little bit different. I actually got another shelf unit just for storage and kind of put all my seeds and everything right over here on the right. And that allows me to really have this rack over here strictly for blackout in front of the camera, which is really nice. And then obviously I have that black rack. It was getting a little full, and so I decided to kind of move that over there and give me a little bit more room here. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started here. So I have my sunflower seed. I have a bucket. It's like a 2.5 gallon bucket. I believe this is 2 or 2.5 gallon. I've got this right on Amazon, and I like to put my sunflower in here because sunflower we grow every single week and we grow a ton of it, right? So it really helps to have a big bucket of it. I got a little plastic scoop here, and it works great for measuring out the sunflower. So I also have my mason jar, which is what I use to soak. One mason jar for about, one tray of microgreens that you're going to grow when we do our soaking. It works great. They're really easy to clean. I just, you can put them right into to a dishwasher to sanitize them if you really want. Real easy to clean. And then of course we have our 3% food grade hydrogen peroxide. And we'll get to that part here in a second, but you definitely need this for sunflower. So, okay, so let's get started. Okay, so we use black oil sunflower seeds here. Now, the black oil sunflower seeds, I've seen them come one of two ways here. I've seen them come really tiny, like we have here, and I've actually seen them come and they're quite a bit bigger, okay? If you get the bigger seed, you're gonna do about 250 grams of this. No problem at all. But because this is the smaller seed, you only need about 150 grams worth. And this is a smaller seed, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. So we're 0 auto scale here. Go ahead and I like to do it over here just because it gets a little messy if you mess up here. Boom. Wow, we're getting really close already. You can tell I've done this quite a bit. 142, about 147, right around 150 here. Excellent. 150, perfecto. Okay. Take the seeds, put it aside. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a half a teaspoon of this hydrogen peroxide mix. And what this does is this sunflower is really clean sunflower seed. You can actually tell. But sunflower, I don't know what it is, but the seed hull is just so prone to molding. So what we do is when we soak the seed, we actually just do that half a teaspoon of hydrogen peroxide for the tray here. Not much at all, that's it. Just one little half a teaspoon. And then we're gonna go ahead and introduce water into this. Go to the top. Don't overflow it. You don't want seeds going everywhere. Perfect. And we won't shake it, but we do this a few times. And it kind of mixes it up a little bit here. There we go. Okay, so now that we have this all soaking, there's one more trick that we're also going to do. When we leave this soaking for 12 hours, so it's pretty late at night. I actually did this on purpose because I always soak my sunflower at night, and then I wake up in the morning, and first thing in the morning I do is I plant it, right? So we're going to soak this for 12 hours, but we're going to do it in the refrigerator. And that's also a nice little trick because what I've noticed is that when you have sunflower in a container like this and it's basically just sitting in the water and soaking, if it's in a warm room or room temperature, or maybe it's a little hot out, it's in late spring, early summer kind of thing, and this starts getting around 80 degrees or so, we're just basically, the mold is just going to thrive in that type of environment, right? So when we soak it, we put it in the refrigerator, and I just find it works really well to hold off the mold when soaking the sunflower seeds. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator for 12 hours, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll sow this. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, we are back 12 hours later, and we have our sunflower seeds that have been soaking for the last 12 hours. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead, open this up, strain it out, and obviously go and sow it. So let's get started. Okay, so I have a strainer here and a tray. This is kind of the method that I like to use because my sink is actually on the other side of the room, and this is just easier to show you guys what's going on here. So go ahead and strain this out. So this, like I was saying before, this has actually been in the refrigerator to keep it nice and cool, to make sure that no mold starts forming at all. I'll just go ahead and shove some water in there, and basically they all come out. And then you want to give these a good rinse for sure. Rinse everything off this. Don't be shy when rinsing this. We want to get everything we can off possible. We had it in that solution that we created, or that half a teaspoon of that H2O2. Okay, so let's go ahead and we just spread it out like so. Just try to get it all throughout the tray here, and then I'll just kind of go through these strainers. This strainer I really like because it kind of comes off pretty easy, like you can see here. So, plus it's stainless steel metal, right? So, at least I think it is. Maybe it's aluminum. I don't know. But it cleans really easily. So, it's real easy to sanitize. So, okay. And then my little method here is once I have this all kind of piled up here, I'll just give it a good shake. And that at least kind of spreads it out a little bit. And then we can kind of spread it out a little bit more. There we go. The coir came up a little bit when I was shaking it, so you got to be careful of that. So. Yeah. Spread it out as evenly as possible. There we go. Make sure it's, pat that coir back down because it kind of bubbled up a little bit when I shook it. So just be careful of that. I actually had this coir sitting out on a shelf overnight. So because of that, it lost a little bit of the moisture, which kind of keeps the coir down. So. All right, looks pretty good. So we will go ahead now, and we're going to do just trying to find your mist. Here we go. I'm going to mist this down pretty good. There we go. Get that coir nice and wet here. Germination. All right, I can lift it up and it actually feels a little light. Like I said, I left this coir out overnight, so it is a little bit more light. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more water. Okay, now that we did that, I'm going to go ahead here, and we also have a mixture which we mixed. This is about 2 tablespoons of that hydrogen peroxide, that food grade hydrogen peroxide, and we mixed it with about 1,000 milliliters of water. Okay, so it's not much. And what we're going to do is we're just going to lightly mist the top. So I'm not watering it, right? I'm not basically giving this to the seeds as like the main source of water. We've already done that. We're just giving it a light mist over to just make sure that that mold stays in check, basically. So give it a good pump. Go ahead. Perfect. Just like that. That's all we need. And then we'll go ahead and put a tray on top. We'll also put a black tray on top as well. Same my other grows, the black trays to basically just keep any light that comes in, just because this green tray right here is somewhat see-through, right? So the light likes to penetrate this, so we just put the black tray on top. And at the same time, if we just did the black tray, some people ask why I don't just do the black tray. It's because this black tray is a little bit different of a shape, and what happens is it doesn't cover the seeds all the way, and I tend to see bad germination along the edges when I use just the black tray. So I'll put the green tray first, and then do the black tray on top. And it's just my little trick, it's just the way I like to do things. So, okay, now we're going to go ahead and get a block here. Put this right on top. Definitely give it some good weight. Really allows those roots to dig down into the medium and really grab a hold of the medium and kind of push upwards, right? So that's always why we like to use weight on here. So, all right, I have some pea over here that I actually just sowed. So I'm literally just going to take the sunflower and stick it right on top of the pea. All right, we'll come back in a few days and we'll introduce that to Blackout, so stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to day number 5 of our sunflower grow. It is day number 5. Usually I do wait for days 2, 3, and 4. And then take it out and put it in Blackout on day 4. Sunflower, I actually like to go an extra day to right around day 5, like I was saying, because what it also does is it helps actually kind of knock off or loosen up some of those shells, because as the plant is kind of coming up, it's hitting the top of this weight right here, and it kind of loosens up those shells a little bit. It doesn't hurt it to keep it in germination for another day before we go to Blackout. So no issues at all. So we're going to definitely go ahead and lift this up, take a look. Oops. Forgot to take the top off. Great. I'm not seeing, so this is really great. I'm not seeing hardly any mold issues at all, which meant, our hydrogen peroxide solution really helped to kind of clean those shells off and to assure that they were as clean as possible when we were in germination. Because germination, you sometimes get mold, and that's okay. If you get a little mold during germination, it's no big deal. Just take your hydrogen peroxide mix again that we created. Again, one more time, it's about 2 tablespoons of your 3% hydrogen peroxide to about 1,000 milliliters of water. I put it right into a little spray bottle like this, pump it up. And if you see anything here, so I'm also going to spray it on top before we go into Blackout. Again, normally I don't water when I go into Blackout. I just kind of leave it as it is. But we just want to make sure that we give it a little bit of antifungal here to just make sure that they don't, start molding on us while it's in Blackout for the next 2 days. So we'll go ahead and do that. Give it a little spray here. All right. That's all it really needs. Just to kind of, keep the mold down and make sure it doesn't spread at all. So, and that's looking really good. So let's go ahead and put a tray on it as well. All right, here we go. And to Blackout we go. All right. We'll give that about 2 days. and then we will come back and we'll introduce the light, so stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to day number 7 of our sunflower grow. So we've had it in blackout the last 2 days, and let's go ahead and remove. Wow, we're looking awesome right now. I only see just a smidge of mold in here, just kind of like that spider webbish kind of thing all the way down at the bottom. It's really not too bad. We've kept it in check. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly normal for sunflower to kind of get it here and there. It's no big deal at all. But this is a really good height for blackout and taking it out of the blackout's concerned, right? So we'll go ahead, and I can definitely tell it's going to need some water. But first, I'm definitely going to go ahead and use some of this antifungal real quick to just make sure we kill the rest of that mold off. From here on out, it doesn't really stay too wet because you know, having it out in the air basically and having an air circulation is going to prevent that mold from growing anymore. So usually the molds pretty much subsides if you did have any right after, you know, your germination and blackout phase. So as long as you kept it in check for those 2 phases, you're going to really have no issues at all for when you're actually growing in the light. So mold also doesn't like light very much as well, at least the mold on sunflower, that is. So we're going to go ahead and just spray this down right on top here. It's actually, when we actually water sunflower too, what I also like to do is I just like to top water a little bit, and that keeps the shells nice and soft. And every day we're going to kind of swipe through and try to get as many shells off as possible. But we're not going to do that quite yet. I think they're still kind of, you know, they're a little tender right now, right? Because they've been in blackout. They're not really strong yet. They haven't been in the light. So I usually don't like to try to knock these shells off until at least 24 hours in the light. So we'll go ahead and make sure we get any mold and stop this from, just make sure we kill any, you know, mold spores that may have been in there, anything like that. But it's looking pretty good though, definitely pretty good. So we'll go ahead and put that over there. Definitely gonna water it like I was saying. So let me go ahead and do that. Sunflower loves water. It sucks it up every day. So it's pretty dry. We obviously haven't watered it at all. So give it about 1.5 cups of water. Filled it up pretty good. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead, introduce this baby to the light, and we'll let it go. We'll let it rip, right? So go ahead and put it down on the bottom shelf down here. I have room. All right, looks great. We'll come back tomorrow, 24 hours, and we'll see how that baby's doing. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, we're back with day number 8 of our sunflower. And this is really greened up over the last 24 hours since we've taken it out of blackout. Now, the issue that we still have is that we have a good amount of holes still left, right? So first off, we're gonna go ahead and we're definitely gonna water this, right? So let's go ahead and we'll do that first. So I could definitely feel that it needs some water. I'm also noticing that the mold is pretty much subsided. I don't see any mold in the canopy at all, or the medium for that matter. So it looks really good. We were able to keep that mold down to a very, very minimum for the grow. So I went and gave it about a cup and a quarter of water, I could tell here. So that should be pretty good. Definitely, you know, you want to give sunflower definitely a good amount of water. It does love water. It sucks it up quite a bit. And then the next thing what I do is, so normally most microgreens we don't top water at all. But the trick is with sunflower to kind of get these holes off is I like to spray them down. This is just regular water here. And what we're doing is we're getting these seed holes a little bit, I guess, soft, you know, from the water, right? So I always keep, so normally I would say before with a lot of my other crops, if you watch some of our videos, that I only really turn the fan on for over top of crops, you know, the CPU fans that I have here, on the very last 2 days, and that's just to keep them as dry as possible. And the reason why it's the last 2 days is because we don't top water them at all, right? So we're just trying to get rid of that, a little bit of that moisture that gets kind of left in that canopy. Sunflower, because we're actually spraying this down to get some of these seed holes off, we're getting it pretty damp on top. So I don't like to keep it that way because it's obviously just, it's prone to more issues and more molds and stuff like that. For the most part, you'll be okay, but I just, I like to kind of keep a nice little airflow going over top of it too. It also prevents it from like being too overly wet when it does come to harvest day. So just kind of food for thought there. So again, I'm just gonna kind of just lightly go over here with some of these holes. And then what we're gonna do is every single day, we're just gonna come through and we're gonna give this a good run through with our fingers here. And you're gonna have a lot of holes that get knocked off. It's gonna take a few days for them to start really, getting pretty loose and all falling off here. But this is really gonna allow, a lot of times they'll naturally fall off because we kind of loosened up the holes and we softened them up with that water. So you might come back the next day and you'll see a lot more that have fallen off, which is pretty awesome, right? So I just kind of run my hand through for 30 seconds or so. No big deal. Obviously make sure your hands are clean before you do this, right? So I always sanitize my hands before I work on my microgreens. So, all right, so that's pretty good. So now we're just gonna take it and we're gonna go ahead and put it right back on the shelf. And I have a fan actually going on the bottom here that goes across, so I have that fan on all the time for the sunflower shelf, basically. So, but other than that, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll see how they're doing. So stay tuned. Okay, welcome back to day number 9 of our sunflower grow. And this is look at this length. This is looking great. It's super healthy. There's no mold issues at all. The leaves are coming out very nice, vibrant green, and we've lost a lot of those shells, those holes on top. So overall, so far, it's been a pretty successful grow. So we're gonna go ahead one more time here. Let's start off by actually spraying down all the holes again one more time. We want to try to keep them as soft as possible, like we were saying, right? Not too much, just enough to kind of give it, a little wetness to it. And we'll go ahead and just go across like we did yesterday. Again, make sure you sanitize your hands real good before you do this. And we're just gonna kind of loosen them up a little bit, right? And they'll fall over. Again, we lost a lot last night, I would say. I have probably half of what there was, it looks like. I mean, we don't really have too many holes at all now. So again, we're just loosening them up here. We'll just do this for 30 seconds or so. Should be pretty good. And then we're also gonna give it some water. I'm gonna go ahead and lift this up and just take a peek at it real quick. We're definitely pretty dry. I could see the medium is actually pretty dry under there. There's no puddle. Like I was saying, sucks up a lot of water. We gave it a pretty decent amount of water yesterday too. So just kind of food for thought there. So grab my measuring cup. And just, an FYI here, we're actually using, I don't think I mentioned it yet in this video, but I actually use ocean mineral for all my microgreens. Use about half an ounce of this for every 1 gallon of water, right? And this is a 1 gallon container of the ocean mineral. And I really like it a lot because this is as organic as it gets. I mean, you're just basically taking concentrated mineral directly from the ocean, right? We're not making some crazy chemical concoction, Miracle Grow or something with all kinds of stuff thrown into it. This is basically just concentrated right from the ocean itself and put into a bottle to put right into your water, right? So, I mean, there's nothing more organic than that besides just natural water itself, right? I've done a lot of tests with this, and I've gotten anywhere from 10 to 20% more yield with my crops. And, a lot of people say, oh, microgreens don't need anything but water. That's very true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't like to introduce any chemicals or anything. I try to grow as close to, just having water as possible. But you know what? For $30 for something that's super organic as it is, you're talking 500 gallons of water I can get from this 1 gallon, probably somewhere around 500 gallons. I'm doing rough math in my head right now. But this 1 gallon of ocean mineral will dilute down to about 500 gallons of water, right? 500 gallons of water. Do you know how many trays of microgreens I can get watering with 500 gallons of water? An insane amount, okay? And then you multiply all of those trays by another 10 to 20%, okay? And I can promise you I made a lot more than $30. It's not even close, right? So, you know, it's those types of things, right? It's like basic math that you have to think about. It's like, okay, is it going to be worth for me to spend this $30 on nutrients, right? Well, yeah, obviously it is, right? So again, I'm kind of ranting on here, but I'm just giving you my thought process and the way I think, you know, when it comes to putting all this stuff together. So I do have this mix. So normally you don't really need to give it mineral water every single day, just nutrient water here. But I'm kind of lazy. I hate to say it. I have so much going on that, you know, for me to go back and forth, you know, and keep track and, you know, mineral water one day and not the next day and so forth, it doesn't matter to me. It's so cheap that I just give it to it every day now. I used to give it to her every other day, and it just got a little bit of a hassle. So I literally just give it to it every day. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we're definitely gonna go, I'm gonna say probably close to 2 cups here, honestly, because this is pretty starved. Yeah, I did about roughly 2 cups here. So I could tell it was pretty light and pretty dry. So we loosened up those seeds, like I said, you know, those holes, we went and watered it. Now we're gonna make sure, again, we keep it under the fan a little bit, not too much fan, just a little bit, just to kind of keep it air dry after we loosened up some of those seeds and got it a little white up top, right? So we'll go ahead and put it back on the shelf. And we will probably come back tomorrow, day 10, to harvest. So stay tuned. And we are back for day number 10 of our sunflower grow. And this is perfect. This is exactly where we want it to be. So what I'm noticing here is the true leaves, right? You don't want to get to the point where you're growing true leaves through your sunflower. My customers can't stand when the true leaves are showing on the sunflower because it's way too flowery and kind of this bittery mix. It doesn't taste good. I've had all kinds of terrible complaints about, you know, once the true leaf comes up. And I'm noticing here that the true leaf is just starting to come through, but it hasn't actually, you know, gone ahead and kind of sprouted through the middle. So this is perfect. So you don't want to really stretch sunflower too far and be like, oh, I'm going to grow more. It's going to grow tall. It's going to, you see how much product you can get out of it. No, you got to be careful because you don't want that true leaf coming through. So just food for thought there. So in order to get started here, we're going to use some containers. These are 100% PLA, biodegradable, compostable, plant-based, made from cornstarch. Oh, that's a mouthful. But these are awesome. We get these from greenpaperproducts.com. I actually have a link below in the description box. Your first order, you can actually get, I believe, 5% off your order if you use the coupon code Princeton. So don't forget about that. Then we'll also go ahead and going to use these food safe packages here as well. I also have these in the description box as well. And these just kind of absorb the humidity from inside the container for when you're packaging your microgreens, and it kind of helps the microgreens last a little bit longer, right? Because we want to prolong them as much as possible in the refrigerator. So also our customers love that too. You know, when you add simple things like that, it kind of shows you go above and beyond and you care about your product. So anyways, and then of course we have our scale here so we can weigh it, and our nice little handy dandy harvest knife. It's just a watermelon knife, so use it in all of our videos. So first, let's go ahead and put this on the scale and zero it out. There we go. Okay. So, I mean, I'm looking at it and it's so beautiful. We hardly have any seeds. We've done a really good job of, you know, brushing over it. And it's not wet at all as well, right? Because we have the fans on it. So even though we did top water, like I said, you keep that fan on it and you keep it nice and dry, and you can actually feel this. It's extremely crisp. It's a beautiful, beautiful crop. So, okay, so we'll just start from one side over here. And I just kind of grab it. And what I usually like to do is, you kind of get those strays every once in a while towards the bottom. You don't really get them too much. I just kind of shake them out a little bit here before I go ahead and put it in. And then kind of pick out any of the seeds. A few seeds are fine in your packaging, but I really don't like a lot of seeds in my sunflower when I'm, you know, packaging for people. Just because, you know, presentation is everything, and you don't want people getting seeds in there, you know, when they're open their package and they, go to eat their microgreens and they have to pick their seeds, right? So there we go. I usually do sunflower in 2-ounce packages here, which is roughly about 56 grams. So literally just a handful of sunflower can almost get you there. So sorry, just picking out some more of these seeds here. Looks pretty good though. I see some people, they just package their sunflower and they just kind of go all in seeds and everything. And I've actually opened a package of sunflower microgreens one time and it was just full of seeds and it was so like, oh, it was just terrible, terrible, terrible. So this is about 62 grams. That I actually like to give a little bit more with sunflower just because it's so heavy, right? Because it's so heavy, it really doesn't look like you get a lot. So I want to make sure that, you give the customer the best bang for their buck, I guess you can say. So there we go. Looks beautiful. So normally I would actually go ahead and put a nice label on these. You've seen our labels before in all of our videos. I usually print them out and put the date it was harvested on it, how much it weighs, and it goes right on top here. Unfortunately, we're kind of doing a renovation in the office and our printer's out of commission this week. Our customers do know that. So I've let my customers know, I'm like, look, I'm just gonna write on a black Sharpie on the front of this. Again, it's just for this week. But the office is gonna look great when we're done, so I'm really excited about that. But anyways, that is your sunflower. I'm not quite sure if it's, what you're used to as far as what you've seen with other people and the way they grow it. I have a little kind of, few little tricks here and there that I think I shared with you. So hopefully you picked it all up and hopefully it works for you when you grow sunflower. So other than that, I really hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you next grow. Bye-bye. Hello everyone, Peter here from Princeton Microgreens. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Also, if you have any ideas, suggestions, or questions, feel free to leave them below in the comment box. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.